The year 2020 commemorates the 100th anniversary of women's right to vote across the United States. The Frick is celebrating with a series of videos honoring stories of women at the museum who made, appeared in, collected, and took care of art in this collection. And as we celebrate, we also remember that many women were left out of this story. Thousands of women of racial and language minority groups had to fight on until the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and beyond, even today. This episode is about a woman at the Frick who has in a sense been forgotten within a larger story. She's greeted every visitor who's walked into the Frick collection since it opened, and yet few will know her name. Unlike the many wealthy subjects of portraits at the Frick, this woman came from humble origins and worked as an artist's model, probably the most famous model of the early 20th century. Audrey Munson is everywhere in New York City. She's the second tallest statue after the Statue of Liberty, all in gold atop the municipal building in downtown Manhattan. At Columbia University, in front of the Plaza Hotel, and at many other sites around the city and across the country. She's been called the first supermodel in American history. But what's her story? Born in 1891, she caught the attention of a New York City photographer who introduced her to a sculptor. And soon she was so in demand as a model for works of art and monuments all over the city that she became known as Miss Manhattan. She became Venus, Pomona, Diana, Civic Fame, the Three Graces, but her own name doesn't appear anywhere on any of these images. In 1913, she served as the model for Sherry Fry's relief above the porte-cochère of the Frick family's home at 1 East 70th Street. Here she plays an allegorical reclining nude, possibly the figure of truth, but precisely what she represents has yet to be determined with certainty. She's accompanied by a little puto with a mirror and various attributes, including a globe with a zodiac and a winged helmet. The sculpture was moved to its current location above the entrance door when the Frick opened to the public in 1935. Sadly, it did not end well for her. The dark side of fame came around. Her landlord murdered his wife, purportedly because of his love for Audrey, who in fact had nothing to do with it. Along with growing criticism for posing nude in films and for art, the scandal essentially ended her career. She made an attempt on her own life in 1922. After that, she was committed to a mental institution for the rest of her life, 65 years. She died at the age of 104 and was buried in an unmarked grave. An artist herself, as well as a dancer, actress, and writer, Audrey Munson was outspoken about women's independence and directly supported the suffragist movement, even contributing some of her wages to the cause. She is everywhere in New York City, and yet nowhere at the same time. So the next time you see her likeness at the Frick or elsewhere, I hope you'll put a name to the face. Audrey Munson, Miss Manhattan, at the heart of our city's visual culture.